Hey everybody, it's Joric. Welcome back. I hope you're doing great wherever you are in the world. Today I got an interesting one. I want to ask the question, and please comment below what your feelings are. For those of us who have lived overseas or are living overseas from wherever our home country is, should we be called an expat, an immigrant, a migrant, or a foreigner? Or maybe there's some other term I haven't thought of comes up. And the reason I ask that question is it seems like there are forums and certainly certain groups that get very particular about what they call themselves. And there's other people that watch this YouTube channel as well as read commentary from foreigners that are very particular about how they feel foreigners in certain countries should be calling themselves, whether you're a migrant, you're a foreigner, you're an immigrant, or you're an expat. So I ask you, if you're living in a foreign country, do you refer to yourself as an expat, an immigrant, a migrant, or a foreigner? For me, when we lived in Portugal, it was all the above. Some communities wanted to be called expats. Okay, I'm an expat. Some people, you're a foreigner. Okay, I'm a foreigner. I'm all of the above. I look at it. I'm not too particular on the language that I use, but when it comes to semantics, people are really passionate about you're not an expat. Stop calling yourself an expat. You're an immigrant. Or you're not an immigrant. You're an expat. What I don't know if there's a way to end a debate or maybe make things worse, but what are your thoughts on that? For me, I think depending on what situation and what group you're in, you can be called any of those, and I don't think anybody should take offense if someone called me an immigrant or a migrant versus an expat. I don't care. I'm living in a foreign country, and by that definition, all four of those fit the definition that was me, but I know other people really get concerned. It seems like from the feedback I'm getting, if you're English speaking or from an English speaking country, coming from an English speaking country, I can't speak English, it seems like we more often refer to ourselves or prefer to be referred as expats as opposed to other names. That seems like that is the conventional wisdom and the feedback that I get from people on the channel going, stop saying expat, you're an immigrant. It seems like people that come from countries that are not traditional English speaking, other whatever their native language is, they refer to themselves as immigrants and refer to others who have come from foreign countries immigrants. Doesn't seem to be a concern to me, but I know people get really particular and passionate about that, and I'd love to get your feedback and your thoughts, because I think that if you're living in a foreign country, you should be open to be called probably a bunch of different things, hopefully good, but maybe sometimes bad. But I don't know. People seem to these days be very concerned about what people are called in certain countries, and I'd love to get feedback, because but I also am not naive to the groups that we were in Portugal. Some of them we all called ourselves foreigners. Some groups in a couple of groups we were just migrants. We're just migrating from one, and we were not the ones that were going from country to country, but there were some others that were true nomads. It's another term that could be used, going from country to country. But mostly we were either in an immigrant group or an expat group. It seemed like that's traditionally where it weighed. And it really didn't matter who spoke English and who didn't as their first language or native language. But it does seem to cause some concern, because when I've posted some videos, people really are wanting me to say I'm an immigrant, which I was, and there's other people, no, you're an expat, you're not an immigrant. And okay, I was an expat too, I guess. But I'm more concerned about what other people think of that, because it seems to be a bone of contention in a lot of groups. And when we met people, how we phrased who we were, whether we said foreigner, migrant, expat, immigrant, sometimes nomad, it was received more well or more negatively than in other groups. But what's your experience been? I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to get some commentary below. As always, thank you so much for watching and enjoy your travels.